Okay. Good afternoon, all. We are going to talk about today about land readjustment in Colombia. Some highlight of the background and the problem statement. There are institutional deficiencies in the implementation of land readjustment in Colombia. There was the possibility of the landowners not being voluntary participating in the projects. The leadership of the private developers was not guaranteeing equity, and the efficiency of land readjustment as a financial tool has not been proved yet. After the theoretical review, the research question changed, mainly because the governmental arrangements, as explained in theories, are not crucial for implementing land readjustment. A basic legal framework that established the social function of land is more than enough to implement it. And even though there are problems in the implementation phase related to the government, this is true for any other tool there is in the country. Since those are general conditions that apply to the context, the research will focus on the other three issues presented in the problem statement. To answer this question, sadly the answer is no. The main research question shows that the stakeholders of land readjustment projects in Colombia are not sharing the land value equitably, mainly because the developers are pushing the benefits of the landowners and the public. We can see at the bottom the benefits that they should get, and on the top the benefits that they are getting. And graphically we can see that developers are benefiting more than what they should, pushing the public and the landowners' benefits down. To get to this answer, this research tested the interactions of stakeholders as defined by Doebele, that is the landowners, the public, the developers, investors, and others, in participating voluntarily as defined by Cheng, meaning there is no buyouts and no shield companies, and therefore sharing the benefits equitably. The research strategy that was used is a survey on projects called desk research by Fantiel, mixed with interviews to triangulate the information and collect data from different sources using different instruments. Each project has a decree that enacts it, and we gather information from the decree, but also from the documents that give support to those decrees. There were 5 interviews with professionals in charge of different projects in the municipality of Bogota, 2 more with experts in the field, and 1 with one of the developers that developed the project. So for the 30 sample partial plans, 9 needed to be changed because they did not have land readjustment inside. Some of the sample projects had more than one land readjustment, and therefore it was selected one of each of the projects. From the 3 project samples that were enacted before 2006, only 1 had the necessary information to be comparable, and therefore that was included. From the sample, 6 municipalities did not reply. 4 projects did not have minimum information needed, and 2 were discarded. 1 because the landowners were owners of the company that owned the land, so it was the same family owned it, and that breaks the rules of the land assembly tool. And the other because I had to do too many assumptions on the distribution cost, and therefore it creates uncertainty on the sample. That will leave us with 19 land readjustments to do the research, and that constitutes an effective sample of 61%. The encounter framework differs from the theory because it separates the main characteristics of land readjustment, placing the cost recovery tool on the partial plans and above the land assembly tool, which is different from what theory states. To answer question 1, as a general rule, all projects state that each urban action unit will be developed with the agreement of the landowners. What they do specify is that this ownership can change in time. After reviewing the projects by a triangulated method between the documents, the cadastral system, and the assumptions made by theory, it can be concluded that most of the projects were buying out the landowners. And a chi-square test revealed that the voluntary participation was significantly different from the different stages of the project. For question 2, in all of the sample projects, the value of the land increased. It increased enough to cover all the costs of services and infrastructure. All the projects were able to cover the cost and leave a profit of the project. And not all of the projects state that they have an initial value of land and a final value of land. That's why some of the projects don't show like an orange part of it. The theory says that landowners in land readjustment will receive more valuable land than what they contributed. In the cases sampled, this is not true in most of the cases. Therefore, landowners are not motivated to participate in the projects. The situation changes when you include, or when like the calculations include the profits of the projects in the calculation, and when you include the profits, it shows that it is profitable for the landowners to participate. And another test proof there is no difference between the initial value of land and the final value of land. Even though there is a substantial difference between the initial value of land and the value of land including profits and costs. For the percentile distribution of cost is similar between projects, except the ones that do not include the cost of constructing the buildings. There are two cases where the cost of the buildings are not included, and one that had like a high percentage of FARs already built, and therefore the cost will be less, but the value of the land will be more. But you can see in the graph that the behavior of different percentages is similar in all of the projects. The benefits distribution is again similar, except for the same cases. And one that the landowner was also the investor and the beneficiary of the project. The beneficiaries can be classified as stakeholders, which are like the landowners, the public, represented by the government, the investors and the developers, because they do take part in the decision-making process, and actors that are not stakeholders because they don't take decisions in the process. Conclusions. The encounter framework differs from the theory, separating the relation between the voluntary participation and the land assembly method and the cost recovery tool. The land assembly method is different from the theory, excluding the original landowners and losing the possibility to reduce the transaction costs. Land readjustment can support the development being an efficient tool, an efficient financial tool, instead of transferring the cost to the buyers, which is a theory that some developers have. There is no financial motivation for the landowners to participate, and there is a significant difference between the benefits perceived by the landowners and all of the other stakeholders, as the ANOVA test showed. Further research can be done in diagnosing the implementation phases of several case studies inside the country. It can also be measuring the impact of the current framework in the projects, or the impact of land acquisition processes in the process of the projects. Also has the possibility to study the decisions of voluntarily participate in how that decision affects or increases the value of the land, or how the value of the land influences the decision to participate. It can also be analyzed, separate cells, for example, the ones that have included the cost of construction and the ones that don't, or different treatments, conservation, and so on. And well, of course, the reason finally is why does this this distribution is like that, benefiting more of the developers. Recommendations to include the landowners will benefit the projects. It takes a different approach to what the normal approach it is now in Colombia, but it could bring positive outcomes from including the landowners. Have assessment processes to the projects, because once the project is enacted and the decree is there, the municipalities stop doing work on each project, and if they do have like an assessment and an evaluation, and then they share knowledge, the implementation phases could be enhanced and take to a better and faster outcome. The cost of infrastructure can be included without affecting the final buyer. This is especially for developers. And finally, sharing the profits will motivate the landowners to participate. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.